From Costner's wife filing for divorce, potentially causing scheduling issues, to the show already being delayed way too many times, these are all the ways Kevin Costner's on-set drama could ruin Yellowstone. For starters, the actor just announced that he's getting divorced. The guy really can't catch a break, can he? In the middle of all the recent Yellowstone drama going on, I'm sure this is the last thing that he wanted on his plate. Christine Baumgartner had been with the star for 18 years, and they even have 3 kids together. And let's just say, things don't quite look like they ended amicably between the two, because a spokesperson for Kevin said that the whole thing happened with great sadness and that the circumstances were beyond his control. While they asked for privacy during this difficult time, you just know that TMZ got right in and tried to get the scoop. They said that there were apparently irreconcilable differences between the two, and because of this, Christine felt like divorce was the best option. There could be a lot of reasons behind this, because Kevin hasn't exactly had the smoothest year. Like, the star literally won the Golden Globe for Best Actor for his role in Yellowstone, but couldn't even attend the event because his home in California had been flooded. And that's not all. He's been involved in a bunch of other controversies too, like the ongoing feud he's got with Taylor Sheridan, and the mess that's the production of Yellowstone Season 5 Part 2. In fact, fans even think that this divorce may be the final straw for the guy, and that it'll make him quit the show once and for all. You see, the chances of Kevin Costner leaving the series were always at an all-time high. Not only do he and Taylor just not want to work with each other anymore, according to reports, but there's also the fact that he's had his plate full of new projects. And well, it's just getting way too hard for him to handle all of them. With a busy schedule, it seems that Kevin has been wanting to reduce his time filming Yellowstone, and one report even claimed that he was only willing to appear for a single week of shooting. Now, I'm not an expert, but that doesn't seem like nearly enough time to shoot the entire second half of a season, let alone a show like Yellowstone where John Dutton, Kevin's character, is so important to the storyline. And now, with the whole divorce thing coming into the equation, I have a feeling that he just won't have a lot of time on his hands. He may decide to axe one of his projects, and it seems that Yellowstone may just be the one that bites the bullet.
Care to dance?
I don't want to step on the inmates' toes.
Inmate rejected me.
Especially when you consider the non-stop issues he's had with Taylor. I mentioned this a bit earlier, but really, you've got to hear it all in detail to understand just how much of a dumpster fire this is. So, apparently, Taylor and Kevin aren't exactly the best pals. And by that, I mean they can't even stand each other. The rumor mill has been churning out some truly spicy content recently, and one of the things that got a lot of attention from fans was a comment from Kevin saying that he just doesn't like how some people on the Yellowstone production team seem to have a god complex. And that's not all. Kevin also had issues with people bossing him around. Now, it doesn't take a genius to realize just who it is that Costner is talking about, because all the signs point towards Taylor. And you want to hear the best, or should I say the worst part? Another report claimed that this wasn't even the first time the two got into an argument. In fact, it's something that's been going on for a while. Kevin wasn't a fan of how some of the things were happening in the series, and as an executive producer, wanted to give his input. Guess what response he got from Taylor? He was told to stick to acting. Yikes. With so much drama going on behind the scenes, it's really not a stretch to think the entire show could get ruined. Because, let's be real, it's tough to imagine Yellowstone working without Kevin Costner. John Dutton is the life and blood of the series. I'm not exactly sure how you're supposed to continue with the show if the main star pretty much packs up his bags and leaves. That said, some of Kevin's co-stars are definitely hopeful for the future, even without the guy. Take, for example, Josh Lucas. He plays the younger version of John Dutton in the series, and told E! That Yellowstone can survive Kevin's departure. But of course, he thinks that the show would have to undergo a drastic change if that happened. I'm talking about a completely new direction and vibe altogether. But I mean, at that point, would it even be fair to call it Yellowstone? It'll be like a completely new show, and possibly one that the longtime fans just don't jive with anymore, you know? That said, Josh went on to say that whatever direction the series goes, it depends heavily on the type of mood that Taylor is in. He's the kind of person who can completely change the narrative if he feels like it. So if he can think of something fun to do, it may just mean that the show still has a good few years left. But honestly, that sounds a bit tough if you ask me, because even Paramount has started looking into their break it in case of emergency option. If you're not quite sure what I'm talking about, let me fill you in. So it turns out Kevin isn't the only big name star on the ranch anymore. Paramount recently revealed how they're working with Matthew McConaughey and creating a series that's essentially essentially going to work as a Yellowstone expansion. It's a completely brand new show that's going to give fans more of what they love from the iconic franchise. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, this sounds like it's just going to be the big replacement for the main show. It's clear to everyone that the differences on the set of Yellowstone are just too much to handle for most people, and it doesn't seem like the beef between Taylor and Kevin is going to end anytime soon, especially with all the recent stuff that keeps happening in Costner's life, like his divorce. Paramount may have thought that their best option in that case would be to lazily wrap up the series with its 5th season, and then dive into something completely fresh, something that doesn't have the baggage of 5 seasons worth of content tied to it. And honestly, I think that's a decent enough plan. But of course, it will end up ruining Yellowstone for the fans who like the original series and don't want yet another spin-off. Oh, and speaking of all these spin-offs, it's gotta be said, some rumors have mentioned that the on-set drama isn't entirely Kevin's fault. Sure, the guy may not want to show up to film Yellowstone, but there's a pretty good reason behind it. Turns out, shooting for this season was supposed to happen last year, but the writers seemingly didn't have the scripts prepared, and so it had to be delayed. Kevin was hoping to get it done in a timely fashion because he had made some other commitments to stuff that had to be filmed this year, and now, because the writers couldn't keep track of time, it's got all of Kevin's schedule in a mess, leading to issues behind the scenes. And it gets even juicier. Turns out, Sheridan is just really bad at managing Yellowstone. One rumor even said that he'd call actors out to shoot a scene, but then the entire day would be spent just trying to prepare the set. Yep, the actors would waste an entire day, with no action filming getting done. Now that's really got to stink for them, and I can understand if Kevin has been wanting to distance himself from the shooting if this is the kind of problem he's been facing. Turns out, all the many spin-off series that Taylor's been working on finally caught up to him, and he just hasn't been able to dedicate enough time to the main show, which is probably why there is such a delay in production. If any of this is true, I don't think it's fair to pin the blame for all of this drama on Kevin, because it seems that Taylor Sheridan may be just as responsible. Though, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter who started the fire, because Yellowstone is the thing that's going to burn in the aftermath.
What do you want to know?
What is it? Exactly.
It's the trash can for everyone who's attacked us.
The show was supposed to be released this summer, and with all this drama going on, it's pretty clear that they're not going to meet that deadline. But it gets worse. It's possible that the 5th season's second part may not even get airtime, leaving the series feeling like it was left unfinished. Even if they do decide to finally get down and shoot these next few episodes, they're probably going to have to try hard and end the series pretty quickly, which sounds like a recipe for disaster if you ask me. So there you have it. From the show already being delayed way too much, to Kevin Costner's wife filing for divorce, leading to even more issues, those were all the ways Kevin Costner's on-set drama could ruin Yellowstone.